Hello and welcome to News in Depth right here on TVP World. I'm Alex Cadier. This is a moment for us and for you to get to the very heart of one of our biggest stories. For the last 3 weeks, Warsaw has been buzzing. One contest was the talk of the town, the International Frédéric Chopin Piano Competition. TVP World has covered this extensively, and at the very heart of our coverage was our culture editor, Carolina Shapland, who joins me in the studio. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. You've been following this competition, from the very start, closer than almost anyone. Some of our viewers may not have been as closely following this as you have. Can you bring us and them up to speed?
Absolutely, Alex. Well, the first thing that we need to remember that this competition is a big deal in Poland and a very big deal in Warsaw, right from 1927 when it's originated. It is, and you can only, well, it was conceived to be as closely linked to the Olympics. So it's got the whole, as you said, buzz. The vibe is of a sporting event. Big emotions, big expertise. You know, you never know. In Warsaw, you might be riding a cab or you might be somewhere in a lift, and people, for those 3 weeks, people will talk Chopin. You know, they have their favorites. There are everybody says, oh, I know who the dark horse is. They have the people that think, you know, and now these big emotions are all over, or you'd think, because unfortunately, the announcement of the winners early this morning, I think stirred up the pot to no ends.
Absolutely. Well, like the Olympics, like sporting competitions, when there's competition, there's controversy. We'll come back to that in a moment. I think with something like this, it's only natural that we start by listening to some music.
Absolutely.
So that was the winner. That was Eric Liu, really moving, of course. We also had the moment where he and the world found out that he was the winner. Let's have a look at that clip as well.
And the gold medal goes to Eric Liu.
I'm so grateful for this honor. I'm grateful for all the Chopin lovers around the world who watched online and all the audience here in Warsaw. I'm grateful for the jury to bestow me this honor. And this is a dream come true, of course.
Thank you. That was the winner of the Chopin competition. What can you tell us about this young man?
Well, first, I really would like to say that despite the controversy, I think he is a just winner. He is a player who is consistent throughout this competition. And the way the system is designed, the points given, then the mathematical averages that are accumulated over all of the four rounds really point to somebody who's consistent. And I know that audiences have their, big, charismatic, flashy personalities, but he's a young man who was there, and he did whatever whatever he played, it was just brilliant, technically brilliant, in what, in many experts' opinion, was one of the strongest technically competitions ever. You know, this year there were simply no weak players. And I think he's a brave person too, because let's not forget, he was here in Warsaw in 2015. He got a 4th prize. Then he did, you know, a string of international concerts, other international competitions where he won. So, you know, he was risking a lot, in my personal opinion, coming here. Because, you know, let's imagine if it didn't go his way, that could have kind of cast his contracts that he signed already, you know, a bit of a question mark here. But he came here with his family, with his girlfriend, you know, 3 weeks of incredible, tense, hard work and graft. So I say good on him.
Fair enough. I think clearly a tough competition. We heard him express his appreciation just a few moments ago, but others did the same. Let's be fair to the other competitors as well. Of course, a tough competition, and hear what they had to say after the contest.
I really came here with no expectation. I just really wanted to share more music and share more the program that I brought. I loved every stage of it.
Receiving such a high honor in the Chopin competition is actually something that I never would have thought was possible maybe a few years ago. I mean, this competition has such a high reputation and so prestigious that I mean, I've known about it since forever, right?
It's an honor. It's an incredible opportunity to be able to perform on this stage so many times. It's a historic place. The names that stood on this stage are absolutely, well, they're part of the history of piano playing. So joining this history of piano playing at this particular competition makes me very honored and extremely excited.
We heard from the competitors. I want to pause for a moment to focus on the man who's really at the heart of this, Frédéric Chopin. The competition always held around October 17th, the day of his death. He means so much to Poland, so much to Polish people, and so does this competition. We have a lot of viewers not in Poland. Give them a sense of how much this matters.
Well, Chopin is, rightly or wrongly, given the fact his father was French, our top cultural expert. Apart from, you know, Polish School of Jazz, Chopin is the thing that every Pole feels proud of, you know, and that's right from a primary school. You told, you know, almost from your nursery class, that is Chopin, that's his music. He was born in Żelazowa Wola. And even though, you know, we like to brush that part under the carpet, that he spent most of his adult life in Paris, he's considered through his music, through the melody, that, you know, all of the pieces that intertwine subtle notes to Polish folk music, he's considered in spirit the quintessential Polish composer. So it's absolutely important, and hence always that kind of a whiff of disappointment that we have only one Polish finalist this year. But you know, I had the privilege this morning of talking to all of the 6 laureates. And actually they said Chopin's language is universal. That melody, that, you know, that what makes Chopin so famous. He's the one classical music composer that we can hum. And that melody makes him absolutely universal. And there is this deep love for Chopin in Japan right from the 90s, and now deep love for Chopin in China. And I think that's wonderful. I think the fact we've got our Polish young Yehuda Prokopowicz, who got a special prize, that's fantastic. You know, we've got the Alexievich, you know, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I think we really should feel proud that Chopin is just traveling further.
Absolutely. He's also the composer you can almost always recognize. Even if you don't know the piece, you have the sense of Chopin right away. We've spoken about that range of international talent. You were just talking about it. We'll come back to that in a moment. But as we said at the very start, with competition comes controversy. The jury came to a decision, not disparaging the young man who won, clearly extremely talented, not to everyone's liking.
No, and I think if you follow all of the Chopin buzz on social media, there seem to be 2 camps. First, the audience have favorites, and these were the big charismatic players, such as the David Kurkuli from Georgia. We never had a Georgian pianist enter before, and you know, he played some of the things amazingly. Unfortunately, in a final round, he was very impatient. And the way, as I said, mathematically the system is scored, you get 35 points for the final, 35 for the stage 3. And actually the earlier stages are only weighted at 20 and 10 points. So maths was against him. And then there were the favorites of the pundits. So William Young, Kevin Chen were pundits' favorite, but actually I think a lot of criticism that this year's jury is on a receiving end is frankly ridiculous. They've been called online boomers and males, and there are these voices, we need to make the jury younger. But actually it's a very diverse jury. We have many women, we have people from, you know, we have Chopin's educators, we have people like Gary Colson, who is the head of the jury, who won himself, so he knows how tough this competition is. So I think this shows you that social media, when it comes to classical music, is a bit of a double-edged sword. On one hand, this year Chopin had an amazing exposure through social media, but on the other hand, you know, storms are created, I feel, by many pundits outside of the competition. You know, really to people want to make their name one way or the other.
Well, let's see if the viewers could make up their mind on you know, the generational gap perhaps between social media and the jury. Can you tell us a bit more about that jury? Who is it composed, like who is in the jury? Who are they? A bit of history, you gave us some examples. And then more broadly, social media playing a really big part in this competition, perhaps in a way that it hasn't before. How did those two things come together?
Well, first, the competition is run by Poland's National Frédéric Chopin Institute. And this year, they've been incredibly social media savvy. So right from the start, not only we had amazing online streaming, so every part we were able to see either on YouTube or the TVP channel VOD, but you know, basically the internet was flooded with little clips, little curios, little interviews. Platforms such as Instagram or X were utilized really well, and that means that people felt so strongly about their pianist. And of course, the result is that when their pianists don't win, the drama ensues. However, it also created these amazing I think it's fair to say some celebrities were created during this competition. We had this incredible young Chinese pianist who, when she started 3 weeks ago, she was 16. Today she's 17. And she was Tiniao Liu, who moved to Poland, to Poznan, to play Chopin. And I think that's the crux of the matter, is that these incredible pianists, and their families, will really risk it all. They will move continents to be in Poland, to practice, and, you know, in it to win it, basically.
And I wonder, we spoke a little bit about the kind of geographic differences. There are some competitors, of course, from all over the world, some more popular on social media. We know the Georgian captured the attention of a section of the viewership.
With his dark charisma.
Exactly right. 6 of the top laureates are 3 are from Asia, 2 from North America, only 1 from Europe. This is a competition held in Europe, celebrating a much-loved European composer. And I don't want to take away from Piotr Aleksiejewicz, the Polish, who is in the top 6. Why is Europe lagging?
Is it lagging? Should we say it's lagging, or should we say Asia, with its incredible pool of talent and huge drive to excellence, is winning? I think for obvious reasons. And we're lucky to meet right on the first day of the competition, young, and I'm talking young, 5, 10-year-old pianist who traveled with their parents all the way from China to be here. And they travel, and I've spoken to a young Chinese pianist, age 10, and she said almost, I'm here to work because once I'm 16, I will be here on the podium. So that incredible dedication. Again, I spoke today to most of the laureates, and they all started when they were 3, 4, 5 at the eldest. And you know, if you start that early, you will have an incredible advantage in practice over, you know, young people from Europe. Maybe the drive isn't there, maybe it's just not seen as a tool of social advancement to master Chopin and master the piano.
Just for those looking forward to the next one, of course, it'll be particularly special, marking 100 years of this competition. Viewers like me who might want to come and watch it, what do they need to know about the next edition of this competition?
Well, first they need to know that once the tickets are announced, they are gone within 20 minutes. So, you know, get your fingers ready to book those tickets. But actually, I would really advise anybody to come to Warsaw, because Warsaw is just full of those Chopin adjacent moments, the extra concert, extra exhibitions, you know, cakes devoted to Chopin, special, you know, virtual installation. I would say come to Warsaw because it will be even more special than this year.
Something certainly to look forward to, as I said, this next edition. Those tickets, you said yourself, we were joking earlier that it's now more difficult to get tickets for this than Glastonbury or other big music festivals.
Absolutely. And you know, as somebody who follows culture, there is nothing as wonderful as to see people camping outside of the Warsaw Philharmonia at 4 in the morning, you know, covered in their sleeping bags, waiting for those extra tickets that are released just before the competition. And you see people following, as they're queuing, following the competition on their phones, taking notes. These are people who are really serious about Chopin.
And we'll hopefully continue to tell people about this wonderful competition here at the heart of Warsaw, clearly raising the profile not just of the composer, not just of the competition, but of the city and of the country. Caroline Chaplin, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, for joining us here on News in Depth.
Thank you.
Now that's all we have time for in News in Depth. My thanks, of course, to our excellent culture editor, Caroline Chaplin, for sharing her insights. The Symphony of News continues here on TVP World with World News. Next, I've been Alex Cadier. Take care.